Oh, hey there!
Come on into the studio with me, and let's make some ramen bowls. 2 of them are sped up, 1 is in real time. I talk a little bit about the process, along with a few other things.
I'm Nick from NIXart Studio. Thank you for joining me today, and welcome to the channel. Today, I'm at the Clayground, local art hotspot and the studio where I teach pottery classes. I stopped in to get a little throwing done here, and thought I would have you guys join me today for a little pottery and some talking. Let's get spinning.
Here's a little look at what we'll be making. Wow.
All right, I think I'm all set to throw. Got out some tools, got out some water, got my apron on. Today I'm throwing with some Cinco Blanco clay. That comes from the ceramic store of Houston, if I remember right. I don't remember what brand it is. If I look it up, I'll put it over here somewhere. There it is. Yep. I knew it all along. So today my main goal is that I'm trying to throw a few ramen bowls. So in my Cinco Blanco, I wedged it up into 3 2-pound balls.
I rarely ever weigh my balls. I typically just eyeball it, unless I'm making a specific set or series where I really need pieces to be the same size. Aw, what? This clay was a little bit drier, a lot harder than I'm normally used to using, so it did need a little bit of extra force to get it going. I'm not going to talk a whole lot about the throwing process itself here. I go a little bit into detail about that on the real-time video. I don't want to be too repetitive. This was a bit of a rough day throwing for me. I did it between 2 and 3 o'clock in the afternoon, after the gym, and before lunch. I was tired and hungry. And this is obviously one of the sped up videos. This is running at, I believe, about 4 times speed. And so is the next one. As I finish up my first ramen bowl I've thrown in about 4 or 5 months, I would say attempt number 1 was a success. Bring on ball number 2. Ball 2. I'll talk less on this one and let you just enjoy it. Oh, make sure you cone it real good. I don't always cone, usually only when it's hard and needs to be worked. Drill, drill, drill. Opening it up. Pull, pull. And I'm gonna start shaping it a little bit. And finishing this one up.
All right, attempt number 2 also went fairly well. I think I can get a little thinner and a little taller still. A little bit of extra clay down towards the bottom. I did try to leave enough clay at the bottom that I can carve a bit of a foot rim. I like to do a pretty substantial foot rim, a pedestal style one where it's got a nice bit of lift on it. But the very center of this second one I just did looks a little thin. So I might have to do a bit of a small foot rim on it. Not the end of the world. I'm gonna give you a little bit of a look here. Take this off and we'll take a look. We'll take a look.
Overall, I'm pretty happy with how my first 2 turned out. Hopefully nothing goes wrong with the third one. Oh no.
Alright, attempt number 3. Let's see how it goes.
Ball 3.
You'll notice I don't wedge my clay. Actually, I barely wedge it. I did wedge this one a little bit today because it's a little bit dry, but I don't morph it. I don't form it into a perfect ball. I mush it into a general ball shape. You can see it's pretty uneven. I find that it doesn't really make a difference. All right, I've been I've been throwing the bat pins in, but not the wing nut under it, just because we have to take them off after we're done here, and honestly, most of them are a bit of a pain. This one is really moving around a lot, and I don't want to have to go get them and put them on, but I think I have to. Okay, so I spent about 5 minutes playing mix and match with different wing nuts and bolts. Couldn't get any that would fit right, that would go on easy. I'm hoping it doesn't slide around too much. I put some clay under there. So let's pick this back up. This is attempt number 3.
Ball 3, take 2.
I'm hoping just the clay is enough to stop it from sliding around. I was using a, like this back grip. It's like a foam material. It's supposed to grab on a little bit more. It is not one of the chamois ones. I used one of those before and I like the chamois ones better. This one was working pretty well for the other brain shutting down. It was working well for the other bats. I used a couple wood bats. They were a little bit more stable. But now I'm using a plastic bat and it doesn't seem to want to grab onto it. Between that and this bat has slightly larger pinholes. They sit in there kind of looser. So it kept sliding around and bumping around. It's still doing it a little bit now as I try to center. I don't know if you can hear the as it knocks around when I try to center, but not too bad, not too bad. I get that at home a lot with mine just because my wheel head at home isn't very still or whatever you want to call it. Oh shoot. Hey Alexa, turn off music. Hopefully the part where I was just talking, that won't be too loud in the background.
So yeah, it was pretty noticeable. Had to try to mute those spots, you know, for copyright reasons.
I'm trying not to get too in my head about this being slightly off too. You know, if you start off thinking it's gonna fail, it's hard for it to not fail. Like a self-fulfilling prophecy of the wheel.
And you know what? Even if you do mess up, that's okay. These projects don't really individually take too long, so it's not that big of a deal if you have to restart and give it another go. And even if you do mess up, you hopefully learned something and improved a little bit, and will be even better on your next attempt. In the words of the Frizz, take chances, make mistakes, and get messy. Let me explain a little bit about the process that I go through while making these ramen bowls.
As I pull these ramen bowls, I like to keep them kind of narrow for a bowl and go with almost a cylinder. I try to keep it relatively straight up. I'll let it go out a little bit, but then I do the flaring out in bowl shape at the end. I just find that easier. You can do it the other way if you prefer, but I seem to find more control this way for these narrow bowls. If I'm doing a wider, shorter bowl, I will go bowl shape from the beginning. But if you're doing a taller, narrower bowl, I find that throwing a cylinder and then flattening it out a little bit, flaring it out a little bit seems to work pretty well. You do you though. Everyone does it a little bit different. And if you ever catch me using a very definitive language, know that I actually don't mean it that way. You can do it however you want. Everything I show you is really just how I do it, what I find works for me. So if I ever say, you should always do it this way, what I actually mean is, here's how I usually do it. Every artist, especially potters, every potter's a little different. Everyone throws slightly different hand positions. Everyone has different ways to center and drill. And then a lot of the ways I use are ways that I find are very beginner friendly, just because I tend to teach so many people. I was a high school art teacher before this as well, and then even in college, once I was one of the upper level students a few years in, I would often help people there as well. So a lot of it is just what I find works better, especially for beginners that are, a little bit easier techniques. So yeah, if I do it differently than you, do it your way, whatever works for you. I am looking at doing an upcoming video where I'd like to discuss some of the different myths or controversial things in pottery. So if you have any questions or comments that you'd like to, or topics that you'd like to be discussed in that video, go ahead and drop them in the comments here. I plan on also doing a post on my social medias. You can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. I don't tweet or X or whatever it's called. I don't do the threads. I did technically create a sky thing. Blue Sky. I did create a Blue Sky account, but I really haven't been on there. I don't know if that's something people are actively using, but so mostly you'll find me on Instagram and on Facebook. So look out for that post there, or just drop it in the comment thread here. But some examples I plan on talking about would be like whether or not you always have to wedge, air bubbles in clay.
Now, that's what I call pottery. Nick's Greatest Hits 2025.
Yeah, I just stopped talking mid-sentence. Sorry, I got distracted. So you just common things like that, misconceptions or myths, whether or not people believe them or not. Ooh, another common one is whether or not you need to wash your bisqueware before you glaze it. So if you have anything like that you're interested in me discussing, I can talk about, my opinions on it, whether or not I think it's true or not. And if you want to drop your opinions or thoughts on it when you put it in the comment section, please feel free to do that, and I may mention it in the video as well. Keep it positive though, it's not like a hate thing. Alright, so when I start to widen this out, I guess before I start widening it out, as I'm throwing, as I'm pulling it up, I need to remember to leave thick enough walls that I can stretch them out a little bit. And I was trying to go a little bit thinner on this one than I did on those other two, and I may have went a little too thin. Yeah, you can tell by how high pitched my voice got, the thinness of it. But we'll see. as I go to flare it out, all I'm doing is I'm using this guy as a straight edge support on the outer edge, using my hand on the inside, and just kind of pushing it against that. And I do that a few times until I'm like, yeah, I think it's an okay ramen bowl shape. So I had made a bunch of ramen bowls that I sold at some markets and stuff. Oh, I'm like done with this. I'm gonna clean up the outside. So I made a bunch of ramen bowls, and I'd sold pretty much all of them. By a bunch, I made like 8 or 9, and I had sold them all, except for one that is a little bit smaller. Everyone keeps asking me for larger ramen bowls. So, yeah, since I keep getting asked about having larger ramen bowls, I thought I would go ahead and throw a couple larger ones. These ones are a good size. This one's a little bit taller than I wanted. I actually am going to see if I can widen it just a little bit by taking this guy and trying to push out the bottom a little. All right. And then I'm gonna hit it up with this one more time. Ooh, my inside is a bit dry. Let me moisten that. So for throwing this one, attempt number 3 here, subtracting my my like 5+ minute long trying to play with the pins there, I am roughly 7.5, 8 minutes in on this one. Would like to get a little bit faster at throwing these. Just comes with repetition. I have not thrown a lot of bowls recently. All right, I think I'm done with this one. I say for like the 3rd time, I think. After these are dry a little bit, like I mentioned before, I will trim a foot rim into the bottom. I like a nice pedestal foot rim that has some depth to it, or some lift rather. And then I'm going to take a dark colored slip and just do a couple brush strokes on them. And then I will probably be glazing them in my clear glaze with a little bit of my like fake green celadon that I made up at the top. I like the look of that together. Where's my little rubber rib tool? And oh, there it is. I got it. It's nice and flat there. All right. So like I was saying, I'm gonna glaze them probably in my clear glaze, blah, 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 blah. I like the look of the clear glaze with the fake celadon, light celadon green that floats over top. It gets some nice looks to it. And that lets the brush strokes show through that I did. One of them, I left some finger grooves on the inside, my throwing ridges. Some people like that, some people don't. So attempt number 1, I smoothed inside and outside, no throwing ridges. Attempt number 2, I left the throwing ridges on the inside, but I smoothed out the outside. Attempt number 3 here, I smoothed out the outside pretty good. I ran a sponge over the inside, so it'll leave a slight texture, but not as much as the finger grooves on number 2 over there. So let's get over here. Let's take a little quick, get back here. Let's take a little look at this guy. I'll give you a little peek-see here. Oh, back to glaze though real quick. So I will probably glaze them in those ones. I did get a couple new glazes that I ordered off of some website. Clay King? If it was Clay King, you'll hear me saying Clay King. If it wasn't Clay King, off this website right here. I got those This is February. I got those at the beginning of January. I ordered them at the end of last year. They were on a nice little sale and free shipping on, it was orders over like $35 or something. I ordered 2 boxes that'll each make 3.5 or 4 gallons of glaze or something like that. I should have a nice bucket of glaze. I'm going to mix those up soon, hopefully. I already filmed a little video of me saying that I got them and that I was gonna mix them up soon, and then I never did. So that was a couple months ago, so. All right, let's take a look at this guy though. Hey, all right. So one more thing I'm gonna throw before we leave. Actually, I just finished throwing it. Why don't we take a look at it? So this is a nice little crock that you could use to hold your utensils up on the countertop next to the stove, or you could even use it as like a watering bowl if you have a dog with big floppy ears, like a Cocker Spaniel. Be a Cocker Spaniel bowl. This is just another one of the pieces I've thrown. I wanted to show some of my stuff. I'll throw in a little montage of some pictures of some of my other pieces. I got this along with a few similar ones, and some of my mugs and other pieces I've thrown are currently available on my shop. You can find that over on my website, NIXartStudio.com. NIXartStudio.com right there. You can do NIXartStudio.com/shop, or you can just click the shop button on the menu. Go check that stuff out. Whew, hey, all right, so that is it for me today because I want to go home and get some lunch. Thank you for joining me. Hope you liked watching me throw a little bit and hearing me talk about whatever nonsense I was blabbering about. Hopefully you will join me another time. And again, this is Nick with NIXart Studio. And why don't you like and subscribe and all that junk? There's a bell. Jingle that bell or something. Hey, just got home. Enjoying a little outside time with Hoochie out on the porch swing. Really nice out today. Had a couple cold days where it was in the 40s and even below. But it's like 70 out today, 65, 70, and I guess Hoochie's camera shy. Frodo. Frodo is unsure of the porch swing. Frodo. Small pedestal,